Hi, this is Joanna from the Early Morning Ascension Show. Thank you so much for joining. It's such a gorgeous day, and I wanted to start this session off with make a wish. Everybody make a wish. Close your eyes and place your hand on your heart, and let's make a wish together. Thank you. Thank you, Gaia. Yay! It's our first spring wish. Yay! It's such a beautiful, it's been so warm here and so hot that I wanted to do this session outside. So excited. We're back at the beautiful park and there's children and everybody playing. And so I wanted to bring this session forward to talk about creational realities, as we've been talking about for quite some time, to bring forward the gifts that everybody's been learning along the way about personal ascension cycles, who we are as multidimensional beings and how that is an operating system within who you are, how to take care of your bodies as light in light, as you're activating with the planet to get the cosmology stories that are in the planet, that are in the topography, that are in many of the biosphere systems, as I've been told. And in that, it's allowing you greater opportunity to become in alignment of your everything that is element within you, the biophysical chemistry within you, as well as the matter form, and just keeping that enriched and enhanced to keep you balanced, to keep you calm, to maintain your body through adjustment periods of great ascension light and ascension energy and codes. And if you're understanding ascension and awakening and having that own cycle of who you are, you understanding when you're going through releasing periods to give yourself extra nourishment and extra time in quiet contemplation and quiet observation, just setting those new alignments of who you are now, what you have released, and then reclaiming those aspects of yourself so that you're harmonizing all that you are becoming as a grand soul. Everybody is moving through an evolutionary cycle. So as you're releasing old aspects of what you were on those versions of Earth that you had beliefs, whether your beliefs come from your lineage, come from your Akash, come from the social imprints. Many of us are working on at a collective level daily. I'm being shown daily the collective, the imprints vibrationally that I'm working on as one that helps with the grids and helps with the cosmology of the multiverse as we're moving through ascension of the multiverse, and why they showed it to me many years ago. The multiverse experience, because I'm a part of harmonizing those multiverse threads and understanding at a collective level how it's connected with other universes. So what we're moving through right now as a collective is, again, the complex socio energies about dominance and control, and then releasing those fear-based experiences that every single person on this planet carries and that have been created in all of our socio programs. Socio programs, we used to call them socioeconomic programs, but we're going to be shifting and changing them and rewriting them brand new, because they're going to be aligned with a higher vibrational aspect, because you're now aligned with the higher self of you. To align with the higher self of you and making sure that you're not going to be overwhelmed as all of these soul fragments, this is a top-down perspective, all of these aspects of you, they don't come all at once, obviously, and your higher self is responsible with your soul and with your healing teams and with God, of course, because you have God within. There's a lot to that. When you come to a DNA activation, or when you come to an activation to release a soul wound, there is a process to that. It is divine timing. It's based on the energy of that wound that you're able to integrate. It's based on how you're able to integrate the lesson once that memory comes into your now experience. Again, you're not ever given more than you can handle. So just know that you're not ever given those memories of who you are without you being able to handle the energy of that remembrance, of that download. Whether it's a childhood wound or trauma, they're always activated in divine timing. So know that if you're being shown something, if you're remembering something, it's because you now have the wisdom, you now have the understanding of how to anchor and ground your body and maintain a centeredness, so that you're calling that energy in and you can work with that energy in a positive and loving way, instead of reactive, acting out in the wounds of envy, jealousy. Those are the flight or fight energies. But you can choose in a benevolent and mature way to know that everybody is moving through these heals and these healings and woundings of who they have been in all realms, everything spiraling in this now experience, and why we feel such heavy, complicated energies when it comes to control, because they span back to the earliest of our timelines, even into Atlantean time. and Lemurian, because many of the deconstruction of those societies were because of manipulation of energies, and those that were very creative at doing so and getting into this to the physiological and the dream state or the higher consciousness state, and kind of veiling and masking themselves and giving improper you know instruction. And there were certain people that fell for those instructions, and they weren't aligned with their higher self. So this timeline, we're meant to understand who we are as multidimensional beings, and that you're on a spiral of now of all the lifetimes that you've held, all the bodies that you've held, all the roles that you played, good guy, bad guy, and everything in between. And it's only the earthly words where we define things. We're meant to work together as one in understanding that everything is a reflection of your entirety as source, your entirety of all the experiences that your soul wants to have and know as source. And that's why you can just release judgment. It's when those experiences of interference continue that you then have to put up the veils and the blocks and the protection. Most often than not, it's on rare occasions that when you've put up and you've stated your will and you've stated your intention, most often than not, people will move on their way. When you have a breakup, most often than not, people move on their way because they want to be happy just as you want to be happy. There's very few cases where they actually stick around in your field and just want to keep taking from you. And so we offer these experiences as to be aware and to honoring where you're seeing the reality in front of you unfold. What does it mean for you personally in your higher self alignment, so that you're never ever going to be allowing yourself to be in surrender to lower story narratives or lower vibrational narratives and destructive narratives. You can always maintain your peace in knowing that obviously anyone that is guiding you in any way that is neglectful of any negative outcome. Oh, we're going to talk about the DNA. Let's talk about the DNA. What a benefit. If anybody is guiding you into any negative arena that either takes or harms or interferes with another in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally, vibrationally, or spiritually, playing any type of manipulation games, many of us have cleared a lot of social, collective, narcissistic, energies and imprints that were in our timelines and were in the lineage. So we've cleared those for our families, understanding what narcissism is all about, usually related to a very deep wound about safety, because that child was wounded in a place where it wasn't really their fault. And those are early wounds that they just keep culminating into greater wounds of deceit. And as I've said before, a lot of those, not a lot, and I can't say the majority because I don't have the numbers and it would be impossible to tell because everybody's a different consciousness state, but most often than not, a lot of it is dogma, because the children see not only did they get taken advantage of and was their safety harmed and abandoned by the ones that they were meant to trust, but they're also seeing in their everyday constructs the deceit and the manipulation and the sleight of hands that goes on within dogma. And then they're being shown a world of deceit. And so all of those, it just wraps up in illusions of deceit. And it's still not excuses. Those are the ways that we can go back into and heal and retrain the psyche, retrain that inner child to believe in and of itself as the highest and the best, because we've placed so much importance to the outer, whether it be a dogmatic ruler, a dogmatic preacher, a dogmatic this, dogmatic that. Never ever give your power away to anybody that says they're going to lead you and guide you. You're meant to be that Christic sovereign being. That Christ consciousness is your Metatronic operation of who you are within the entire multiverse. You and all that you are is all that you need. Never rely or surrender to anybody's leadership. That's what we're learning. That's what the Christ came forward, and Krishna, they all came forward to teach us such things. And many masters and various timelines taught us about the Christ mastery. The Christhood has nothing to do with religion. It's about who you are as a multidimensional being of light. And you have an operating system. In this operating system, through the cycle of all creation, you will be releasing those soul fragments and aspects, 51% of them, 51% of your lifetimes in 3 and 4D energy, through which was done through those 7 sins, if you will, the lower chakra beliefs and ideologies and perspectives that we're all here to heal and transmute and transform, because that 5D is that collective oneness. When we reach 5D, we will all have psychic abilities and we will all have psychic gifts. When we reach 5D, we'll be able to see into anybody's home, if you will, and why we're learning these navigations now, why we're learning the understanding that those that have spiritual gifts and have spiritual talents and skills are being tested with your higher self and your guides. Are you aligning with the highest and the best, or are you just remote viewing just because you can? If you can and you do have these gifts, doesn't mean you should be using them. If you're not practiced and trained in the higher vibrational laws, and why your teams will work with you. When you have the ability to see into somebody's life and you want to just because it's fun for you, and you're abusing that sense of power, and that is called the abuse of power, because those people that do have those gifts, they have been leering and peering and peeping into people's lives without permission. They've been doing it because they can, and their gifts will be taken away, and they have been taken away. Spirit's shown me. I had this, and I've talked about this before, because it's always be open and honest, with who you are as a teacher and a leader, because you want to teach people how to use their gifts. But there is many times that I've been tested in my gifts, because I tell Spirit, I said, can you test me? Can we do that again? I want to make sure that I'm operating in my highest and my best, whatever my gifts are, because our communicatory gifts are changing too. My communicatory gifts are changing. As a healer, I'm opening to many and more perspectives of how the body becomes wounded, and even at a death state, how did that death occur? What was the first link of that death? Because the body will show its deceasing energies, if you will, because energy is all energy. It's just running at different paces and different states and oscillations. And so you can see that, and you can know that through the tissue, because the tissue is an operating oscillation, and there's densities and things in there. It's reading tissue is reading energy, because everything is energy, and you're able to tap into that. What epidemiology is. I can sense epidemiology at a collective level, and that's why I bring these social stories forward, so that we can see in the collective, and you can go within your micro experience, your macro experience of the inner and above, and as within, so about, so without. Who are you, and how are you operating in regards to those energies of control and fear and dominance, which are all really in fear? And how is that operating in your life, and how can you call those stories forward and start rewriting them in the highest benevolent ways, so that you can be absolutely ready for first contact? We're preparing ourselves in every way to be one with our fifth dimensional families. Again, when we are 5D, we will have access to everything, but we have to learn now in the kindergarten, if you will, the ABCs of energy, how to use your gifts in the highest and the best, so that you're not abusing anybody. You're not doing anything because it's a need and a greed for you, but they're still linked with wounds. Anything that you're meant to have, you will have. But we've been so outer focused because it's meant our importance, it's meant our value, and those are the inappropriateness and the misguidances and the imbalances of our self-worth and our self-design. Who are we at the core level? What are our values and morals within us? That's been the disconnection of spirit, because our disconnection has been separate. Now we're trying to reharmonize all that we are as spirit, so that we don't go to anything outside of us for our own self-importance, and we start building those construct reality rules differently. The construct reality rules that we're operating within right now isn't of the highest and the best. The universal laws that are the law of one and non-interference, allowing everybody their free will to operate and stay in your own lane. Once you start operating in other people's lanes and start taking their light and harvesting their light, it doesn't matter how and in what way you do it. There's people that have sought many different ways to do it, and they're operating in those experiences, and they will be, again, their gifts will be taken because the rules and the laws of one. Then everybody's given enough time to kind of clear those energies and beliefs, and start going within and healing that wound. Why do I feel the need to take from somebody? Where is my connection with spirit? And just going in and doing that work, doing that connection work, doing that reconnection work with who you are as spirit. And everybody has the same operating system. It's different. What differs in the operating system is your DNA. You come with different DNA, because your DNA is directly related to all of the soul lifetimes. So your DNA comes with different codons. Codons are little aspects of information, and in that codon we'll have different information packages that you are able to activate in your clearing of your density as you're working on who you are. And I say working as self-love and self-value and self-honor and all those things we talk about. Those codons get activated, and those codons are activated through your own self-love and your own self-care, bringing light to yourself and operating in light. If you're not operating in light, and you're constantly operating in density and harm and havoc to others because you want what they have, or because your jealousy issues and envy issues and lack of self-design issues are not resolved, that's creating chaos and havoc. And spirit and your guides, which party you are on, spirit will manifest you to a reroute, because spirit doesn't want you to compromise and sacrifice who you are for others that are not learning the lessons of self-work and self-value. And so everybody has those operating experiences to navigate from. And so what they were saying is that every dimension has its source elements within it, and every dimension has its unique, um, unique, kind of threading and bedding of the ingredients of that dimension. And in those reality constructs, everybody that's in that reality construct, they start harmonizing together their levels of consciousness, which then source says, okay, well, this pocket of creation, because everywhere on our planet, there's different levels of consciousness creation. Everybody's holding different levels of consciousness, the alignment with their higher self. Everybody's moving at a different pace of integrating those soul aspects, integrating the higher vibrational light codes. And of course, those that are not healed and having a more challenging time are the ones that usually react, that unfold in our reality, that usually cause harm or damage to others. And because they don't, the healing hasn't been done for them to harmonize those painful soul memories, and then they get triggered. And this is why, again, I said those that operate with manipulation of spell and energy work are, very, dangerous things, because they don't understand where anybody is at physiologically. They don't understand where anybody is at medically, in their own timeline of self-healing and self-love and integrating those soul fragments. And nobody has the right to interfere in those very profound sacred experiences. Integrating a soul fragment is a very sacred experience. It's where you get to look at your life in an observatory, reflective and navigational, excavational way, and you get to honor that soul experience. You get to honor why that shadow was there. You get to honor why that experience was there, and harmonize it and accept it and value it, and then reflect on the stories and the lessons that it taught you. Your parents couldn't do it in their generation, so you chose to take that on, and that's a very courageous and brave thing. And everybody has tremendous gain and access to new gifts once they do their harmonizing and their development work, if you will, because it is multidimensional, it's interdimensional. And so therefore, it takes that interdimensional look and perspective of who you are, what you exist within, and what's going on within you. And those soul fragments is a very sacred journey. And nobody has the right to interfere with that. Nobody has the right to make your job and your journey here any more challenging. And we are kind of transitioning from the old world energies and the old world rulers that ruled in oligarchy, that ruled in dominance, that ruled in fear, from very earlier timelines, Draconian, Illuminati, which was kind of the newer modern day of reptilian and Draconian energies, through which we were, beings and energies were brought to certain planets, and it's in our galaxy as well, these timelines and lessons of dominance, because we have to be discerning about what energies we're calling in, what's in our field, what's in our experiential soul field, that we have to know that there's nothing really there. You're making it what it is because there's a vibration of fear there. When you're clearing that fear and you know that nothing can touch you and harm you, and nothing has the right or authority to take over you, nothing has the right to entrap you, nothing has the right to talk you into selling parts of your soul, then it doesn't mean anything more than going to the grocery store and picking out a whole wheat loaf of bread as opposed to a white loaf of bread. It's just the same choice. There's no greater than or less than. There's no more magnetic pull on either of it. There is when you are talking the actual light quotient, because light quotient will guide you to higher vibrational foods, higher vibrational people, higher vibrational places. But if you're not in tune with light, and all you're seeing and messed up in your bodies and in your mental bodies and your mental field and your vibrational field, and you're carrying all these entities with you, it's hard to discern where, that's when you get that confusion. And then on top of that, you're going through a soul fragment, release. So nobody has the right to fuck with you. It's a very sacred process, and it can, as I've experienced, very, very damaging and very overwhelming. And I'm a master at energy. And so if I went through what I did over and over and over again for years, and there was nobody helping me because, nobody understood these things, I'm the one that's the sacrificial lamb that's, kind of learning it for everybody. But now I wanted to do something really quick today, as we're talking about creational realities, and you can use this as a daily understanding, just to reaffirm, because there's codes in everything that we offer, and we're going to offer some light language and some sound. Know that when we're offering these beautiful experiences, you're going to have different offerings from your teams and your angels, and it's just a matter of you aligning with the pillar of light. Your pillar of light is a beautiful crystalline tube that runs along your spine, and it is what calls in that light from above as below, and then you get to anchor it into Gaia. You get to anchor it into the grids of Gaia and how you want to operate and move with Gaia. The more connected you are with Gaia, again, you're going to have the cosmology story. So we're going to tune in with the teams after we do this alignment. And I also wanted to offer this alignment so that you can show your children, because there is nobody that is offering these teachings to your children on how to reclaim your personal sovereignty, your Christic sovereignty as your own self-design, as a creative conscious creator. You in spirit, you in source, you in all of creation has nothing to do with religion. It's who you are as a multidimensional being. And know that you're calling in all of those soul fragments, you're calling in all of those energies, all of your thought forms, all of your light, so that you're recalibrating all that you are as a multidimensional vessel. You want to maintain and understand what it means to maintain your field, to know what it means to maintain your light, to know what it means to maintain and nourish yourself with your light, so that there is never any need to ever go outer for anything. No outer for addictions, no outer for this, no outer for that, to feed that life force, to entangle with that life force. And that's where the addictions and the obsessions and all of those the lower vibrational ways to feed and nourish the life force is done through those outer temptations, the 7 sins, if you will, because the wounds aren't healed. And so there's just the continual cycle of karmic cycles, because it's temptation. You're relying on outer experiences to satisfy and to feed and to nourish and to offer you value. And that obviously, as everyone knows, is not self-enlightenment. Self-enlightenment is, no, wow, I had a cycle there. Okay, so let's learn that. Let's understand that. Why did I not have my own value? Why did I put my trust and my faith in somebody that doesn't even know me at a soul level? They're just there to play characters with you, and they're there to, see if you're going to take the bait on that temptation. And then you're playing that higher role and say, no, I've done that. The karmic door is closed. It's over. Learn, lesson, block, send back. And that's just a part of your daily maintenance, because there will be those that will always try. As soon as you take a new level up, there will be all those karmic energies wanting to keep pulling at you to come back. And those are just the natural magnetics. It's all about magnetics. They see that you're moving on and they want to be a part of that light and that ride, if you will. But they equally have to do their work, which Spirit has said. If they're not doing the work, then they can't operate in that same vibration that you're operating, because the light magnitudes are so different. And that's why you'll find sometimes when you're having conversations, the conversations won't even be understood. And they sometimes feel as if you're going in circles, because their level of consciousness understanding is not yours. They can only grasp a certain percentage of actually what you're saying, because you're speaking in a different tongue, really. That's how the difference of co-creation is. And the reality constructs, again, those that are in each of the reality constructs, and why there will be different groupings, and you'll be asked to move and you'll be asked to gather with different people, because again, you need to be nourished as well. You need to be enlightened. You need to be uplifted. And that's what you're doing with those higher vibrational directives. Spirit knows that God knows the divine plan. Beings and aspects, and those that are meant to be with whom they're meant to be with, because they're at the collective momentum co-creation. So those that are at a particular level of consciousness, they're needed to create the downloads for the rest of the collective, because there's not very many people, from what I understand, that have, take me for instance, there's not many that have the gifts that I do to discern, to interpret, and to communicate at a collective level that I have, because of my experience in the different realms and the different universes that God has prepared me for. And so that light, if you will, has to be placed in a certain experience so that momentum can continue and that I can be nourished equally, because otherwise it becomes a de-evolved experience, and those co-creative constructs become stagnant. So there has to be that continuation, and that's why God has given those time. You've had time to work it out and alter your choices. You've had time to know what is right and wrong. You've had time to alter your course in interfering and taking from others malevolently. Now there has to be movement, because there are infinite contracts that are connected with everybody that is involved. And so again, God is the only one that distributes karma. God is the only one that tells your guides and the will of God onto how we're going to reroute everybody and redirect everybody, because the momentum of the collective ascension must continue. Nobody in any 3D experience of what they think they're doing and how they're thinking they're manipulating destinies and going in and reading birth charts and the ridiculous thing that people think they do for their own bidding has absolutely zero pull when it comes to the spiritual realm. And this is why, when you understand universal law, when you understand the elegance of who we are as dynamic vibrational beings, if we're taught that at the earliest of ages, you don't have to go through, like I did and so many others, go through years and years and years of trauma or addiction and self-harm and self-abuse. because you know that you carry that power, and you can reclaim and redesign yourself with great self-love and great self-power and great self-beauty, that you're carrying the richness of who you are as a multidimensional being. And you don't have to buy into anybody's narrative. You don't even have to be tempted by anything that they're offering, because oftentimes karmics, those experiences of karmic energy, when they're in those seven energies that everyone has to heal, which equal that 51%, they usually pull in the emotional experiences like jealousy or envy or money or gluttony or greed, because that's the superficial realm. That's what we've been outwardly focused. That's been the separation game. But now that we claim who we are as vibrational beings, we claim that we are as our own higher selves, we claim all that we are as a soul being, and then we operate in this higher functioning experience, and we're connecting more with our planet that realigns us and reactivates us with our biochemistry of natural elements. And that's how we become higher oscillating. We're able to understand higher codes. We're able to understand higher vibrational downloads at a quicker, faster pace, which is also what they told me about the communicatory skills. We're going to have to be ready and practicing. If you're in alignment with your vocational alignment, you're here to be a 5D teacher, healer, and leader. They have been telling us and kind of giving us a warning that we should be practicing on receiving and interpreting and expressing in a more efficient manner. You know, when they give us a download, think about it, ponder it, observe it, and then how can you translate it and express it. And that's just understanding, and what that comes to is the honoring and the knowingness of your multidimensional vessel. Are you understanding what you're receiving? There's no self-doubt anymore. There's no imposter syndrome. You're understanding how you and your guides operate, and that takes practice. And that's why everybody that is in the spiritual and reader fields, their higher selves are in every day, offering them opportunities and tests, and speak with your guides. Have those practice communications and engagements and entanglements. That's what your guides are there for. They're there to help hone your gifts. They're there to help tell you about your gifts. They're there to help tell you when a gift is coming online. You know, have those conversations with your guides. That's what they're there for. You know, you can be asking, what is my DNA activation helping me, you know, co-create now? What's going on with these DNA activations, and what does it include? You should be asking and being a commandmentship of your multidimensional bodies. The more in tune you are with your bodies, the you're in that loving, sacred engagement. You know kind of what's unfolding as it unfolds. You don't have to know everything. You want some majesty and some mystery there, but you don't. You need to be aware of that you're a multidimensional being, and there's a lot going on that you could be involved with that is really your magical journey. The more in tune and connected you are with it, the more fun and loving it is, because you have all of these beings and creation all around you, and God that is activating, source that is activating all these beautiful activations in your multidimensional systems, and that's allowing you to communicate and be and commune with source and Gaia and animals, right? So all of that is you. It's all you. The more tuned in you are with it, the more you're saying, okay, well, I just had a DNA activation. Wow. Because the DNA activation, you can tell a DNA activation physically, you know, biophysically. You can sense it for about 3 days after you have a DNA activation. And then in that 3-day, it's a very physical thing, you know, and you can feel it in different ways. And you can ask your teams, what are the communicatory skills? Because it's a multidimensional activation. Your DNA is multidimensional. So when you have a DNA activation, it will be felt, and it will be sensed, and it will be interpreted, and it will be a multidimensional experience. Seen, felt, known, biochemically, you're all being changed. That's what multidimensional is. It transcends the physical. It transcends this realm. You'll be able to tap into other realms and other bodies and other universes. That is allowing you that enhancement of the veil thinning, right? That is the preparation for first contact, because they're already with us. The veil is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, because we want those communicatory and those first loving communions. So those DNA activations help with that. They also help you with your ultimate gifts and skills that you're here to offer to the collective. So the higher in activation of light, the more light that's bathed on your DNA, and I do classes for that. Anybody that wants me to do a private class and a session for healing, for youthfulness, just give me an email and pay for a session, and then I'll walk you through based on whatever it is that you need, and we'll walk you through some examples of how to care for your body, how to activate your body, and do some self-youthing, so that you can start creating a younger, youthful body and aligning with your own set of light codes, your own set of light teams, so that they can assist you. And again, as I said, you're the commandmentship of your multidimensional experience. you're guiding it the whole way. Don't ever wait for anybody. Don't rely on anybody. Don't follow anybody. You're the guide for you. You're the template for you. And you're the one that is renegotiating who you are as a multidimensional being. And everything can be changed. Everything is malleable. You're not fixed in the body that you are. You're meant to love it unconditionally and know that it was what the gift that you were offered, and to seek those inner acceptances and to seek those inner amalgamations and communions. But you are able to change and honor and be malleable with all that you are as matter, because light does change that. Light is everything. Light is the quickener. And that is what spirit is. I'm just gonna have some water. So thank you, Holy Spirit. Are you liking the springtime, everybody? You can put your comments below. You know those. All right. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you. It's so warm out the last 2 days. It's so beautiful. So we wanted to do crisscross applesauce. We wanted to do, just take a deep breath, and you can do this every day until you get used to doing it, and then you call in your own teams, you call in your own affirmations based on, again, when you know your ascension cycle and you're being a better commandment ship of your ship, of your vessel, then every week you can work on different things. You can work on your emotional bodies one week. You can work on your mental bodies for another week. And then you'll get to know your cycle of when you're going through a release, when you're going through an ingathering, when you want to do research and you want to look things up and you want to get busy exploring and learning. We're here as multidimensional beings to keep growing and expanding, that contraction and expansion. So we're meant to be as self-educators, self-learners and self-explorers in our multidimensional systems. So it's up to you to do that work, and God will match you. God's always matching you. Your teams are always matching you, but you got to do the work. You got to do that inner work for yourself. And we say work, but it's not. It's just a word that we have in our reality. I have a little wish in my hair. Dandelion wish. Wishing my hair is becoming really thick. I've been working on for my youth. I've been doing these youth affirmations, and it's really working. My hair has really gotten really thick, so I'm really happy with that. So if anybody wants to text me, and not text me, I don't give out my phone number. Anybody wants to email me, my phone number is, or my link is below. So I want to get this skateboard. Children, children, children. Oh, we are holy light. We are holy light. We are holy light. Holy light. We are Satan. We are not There we go. So as the higher self comes down to meet the lower self, the lower bodies, again, the seven beliefs that have brought us into separation, they've called it the 7 sins. They're just beliefs that keep us in a lower vibrating energy of separation of spirit. We're never separate from spirit. We never can be. This is the fields and the toroidal system that we live within that equals all that you are. Those of us that are conduits, everybody has a different field because they're here working with different gifts, working with different experiences, and they carry different things in their fields. Everybody is unique. Not one person carries the same field. Everyone is unique and different, and therefore the gifts will be different. Therefore, it makes no sense at all on how anybody can take anything from anybody or mimic or doppelgang, because it's impossible. Your history, your soul, your imprints, everything is different. And again, when you understand universal energies, when you understand the elegance of creation, the design of creation, and you have those higher consciousness understandings, again, nobody would ever tap into anybody's birth chart and mess with it and switch destiny on all that ridiculous things that people do to bid, and the things that have been going on in the social collective about bidding and the underground groups and the corruption that's made from that are all just misunderstandings of the universe. Misunderstandings of who we are as multidimensional beings. But we're ready to arise to a higher vibrational consciousness, to higher intelligence. It's not necessary. Crime's not necessary. Corruption's not necessary. The corruption of the spirit and the soul, to give away parts of yourself, to contract parts of yourself, to you know, any of those things that create the lack of self-worth, the valuedness of who you are. So it's not necessary. And, you know, and in some cases it's you know, spirit wouldn't allow it. Anybody that thinks that they can take your destiny, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense when you draw it out. But there are many people that have been harmed, especially the innocent children, because a lot of those children are being used for their light, and their light is being harvested in deplorable ways. And human trafficking is how they are abused. Their light is abused, and the little children end up walking around with demons and entities that they had given to them unknowingly, because nobody talks about how to use and honor your bodies. The entity attachments have been from the people that are using and abusing them and their bodies, because of, again, heal thy wounds so they don't become another's. So if you have a wounded adult that is doing things to an innocent little child, taking their life force, taking their light, using their light for their own sexual deviance to keep their body alive, because that adult chooses not to heal. That adult chooses not to go in and face its darkness and face its shadow and face its own inner sexual wounding. It is being kept alive by the light of that child. And then there's soul wounds, and there's soul threads, and there's soul ties that are connected every time you have intercourse. And especially those that work in the dark arts, and there's no judgment on it at all. These are the ABCs, and these are the truths about energy. And I'm telling it to you, and it's not comfortable and it's not pretty, but there are those that work in it, and they use it and they abuse it. And those are occult crimes. I've seen it. I've been a victim of it. So I'm teaching those to know and to understand, because everybody that is watching has children, and to understand how to look after your bodies, how to claim your bodies, how to honor your bodies, how to educate who you are within your bodies of light, and start manifesting and maintaining and sustaining really great, healthy communion with your body, so that you don't ever have to give your body away in any way. And you absolutely know when somebody's trying to tap into your field and trying to take your light through very karmic, you know, soul records and soul experiences. In the 3D, it takes some time for the 3D things to work out so that you can have that clean break, like divorce. Divorce doesn't really happen overnight. And while divorce doesn't happen overnight, those people that, you know, don't want the divorce because they want to keep taking your light and they want to keep keeping you imbalanced so that they can stay balanced, there's those that actually understand energy and they work to abuse it. They don't care about how imbalanced you are. They don't care that they've given you entity attachment. They don't care that they've taken innocence and they've taken depravity for their own gain. They don't care, because they're so wounded. Again, heal thy wounds so it doesn't go to another, because everything you do affects another. Whether it's spell, whether it's voodoo, what jar work, root work, whatever you want to call it. Nobody has that right. And again, when you see those experiences and when you see those being added on your, you know, those ads that come up, you know, my occult experience will help you get your ex back. Why would you? I mean, it's just common sense. Why would you? When you see the majority of what's being played out there in creation, it's changing now very quickly because I've been watching it. The ideas and the imprints that are in our collective about, when women talk to any reader, most often than not, it's about a relationship. We're so much more than having 90% of our life revolve around relationship of another person, of the outer. We're learning to return all that we are within, and that main relationship within. So this is where things are changing in the field right now. And our YouTube community and our YouTube spiritualist community, they will be turning into tarot reading channels and reading channels that are about how to expand who we are as individuals as light, instead of it being 90% on the outer and other people. We shouldn't be ever focused on anybody outside of us. The more that every reader focuses on the ascension and the expansion within thyself, that's all it's ever should be about. Who are you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? That is what we read. And if something comes up, well, there's another energy in your field, it's time for you to meet with your soulmate, then that is when that love relationship comes up. But it should never, ever be 90% of the readings that all of our focus goes out to another mate. We have greater lives than just looking for a mate. There's so much juice and there's so much stuff for us to experience about who we are as multidimensional beings. And children should be taught that. And there's been a big shift in the tarot community because it's not about finding a mate. You're giving your energy, all that you are, away. You have no idea who you are. If you have no idea who you are as a multidimensional being, there is no way that you're going to get an equally yoked soulmate, because you haven't done the healing of all your chakras to even know what a real true soulmate is. A true soulmate wouldn't do black magic on you, because they honor you as sacred. They honor your light as sacred. They honor that co-creation. Wow, I want to give to you as much as you want to give to me. I wouldn't want to put you in any harm's way because I know that, wow, that would harm me. Again, I wouldn't want to block your abundance. I wouldn't want to, stop you from loving somebody, because I know that I'm going to get that light and I'm going to be a receiver of it. I'm going to watch you and it's going to make me so happy watching you be happy. But if you're wounded of jealousy and envy and you want to bind your soulmate to you, you want to make your ex come back to you, those are wounds. So no spell work is going to heal that wound. You're going to put that person right back in front of you. You're still going to have that wound to heal. And that person is still going to react and behave to you in the same way, because it's not equally matched. The vibrational wounds are not the same. Your vibrations are off. So why would you want to bring your ex back? Again, it's about discernment. And anybody that is doing spell work, again, there's no wrong with it if you're using it in balance and you're doing it on yourself. But when you start manifesting spell work for other people and you have no idea what their medical, biophysical, mental aspects are on, you have no idea what their ascension cycle is, you're not even asking for any medical okay. You're not even asking for a permission of their multidimensional systems, of their destiny, of their soul's purpose, of their fields, of their bodies, of their alignment with their healing teams. You have no idea what that soul's purpose is. So why would you ever interfere with spell work or any other type of manipulation? Abuse of power, abuse of information, abuse in any way. Nobody has that right. And there's a whole lot of karma. Whole lot of karma. That person that you did spell work on, you have no idea that person was supposed to heal 1,000 children before their next phase because of their light, and that light was interfered with. So not only do you have that karma of that one spell that you thought that was okay, that you thought was your goal to your own greed and your own need, but you stopped 1,000 children from getting that light because you had no idea the contracts and the souls and the places and the realms that they're connected to. That's selfish. That's about as selfish can get. And that's done to all of those children that are being sexually abused and trafficked, because they're being used sexually and their life force is being taken sexually and their destinies and their souls are being interfered with and compromised, and they don't care. That's where we all must wake up. That's where we all must take commandmentship. That's where we're all honoring ourselves to wake up in new ways and say, hey, let's talk about who we are as multidimensional beings. Let's talk about how to maintain our light in our bodies. And that's why it's been underground for so very long. And there are those people, the very ones that joke and laugh and scheme and scoff at people like me when I'm trying to educate and open and inspire and ignite and empower and encourage people to know who they are as light. They know exactly what they're doing and why it's been so evident of groups of people trying to bring me, this one tiny person, down so that I silence. Because these types of teachings were done in the very sacred of our temples, and the very sacred honoring work of our temples and masters and adepts and initiates. Because our multidimensional bodies and how we operate as multidimensional bodies is the access to our creative genius. It is the access to our eternal youth. It is the access to our healing our bodies and having bodies that are not diseased, that don't need big pharma companies as much. Educating, banking systems, everything will change when we realign and we start manifesting and we start having loving communion with who we are as light, taking ownership that we are the Christ return. We're not waiting for anybody to save us. We're rewriting those old texts. We're rewriting the oligarchy. We're rewriting misogyny on every level, because everybody is meant to be here. Everybody is meant to be treated with fair and just and goodwill treatment, and nobody to interfere with anybody's fields. They don't have that right. And when you feel somebody that is continually interfering with your fields and with your light, interfering with your free will, interfering with what your creative choices are, your spiritual choices are, your physical choices are, and there is that combative, because you know that there's a soul contract there, you know that there is karma there, and when you've had the infinite discussions of, no, this is my will, this is what I want, and there's still that disrespect, then you can go about with your healing teams and with Source to start severing those soul ties, because you've learned the lessons, you've spoken up in truth and goodwill, and you've done it in goodwill way so that you're not harming them karmically. you know, like, you know, slashing their tires and throwing rocks at their windows and demolishing their house or whatever. That's karma. You're going to earn karma for that. Even though they might have been very, very bad and mean to you, taking all of your money and doing spell work on you for years, that doesn't give you the right, an eye for an eye. Again, God is the only one that distributes karma. God will ensure. If money was really important for them, God will ensure that all of their money routes are blocked. If binding your mate so that they wouldn't leave you was really important for you, like the ones that were in my black magic, you know, soul pod, doing everything they can to stop me and to silence me and to shut me up, because there was corruption going on many different levels, in many different timelines, and many different realms, many games and many nefarious things going on. And I was seeing it and I was speaking it because it directly related to me. They were constantly in my lane, constantly in my field, constantly in my light, constantly disrupting my life, constantly, when I had said stop, stop, stop for years, hundreds of times a day. And that is discrimination. It's a violation of my privacy, violation of my human rights, violation of my spiritual rights. And God said enough is enough. Now God is distributing karma left, right, and center. And if those bindings are very important for you, and if all of those gifts are really important for you to manipulate and take from people and deceive from people, you better bet God's going to take away all your gifts. And then God will, you know, make sure that that partner will never be with you. And you'll have to live out that karma of what you tried to do to another. If you impose your free will, and if you try and take free will of another, it will be done to you. By either going to jail, because that's your free will taken from you right there. If freedom, you want to take somebody else's freedom, that freedom will be taken from you. However God so chooses. That's up to God. Right? Again, nobody has the right to dictate karma. It's up to God. You just surrender it to God. If you've done your part, if you've stated who you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, if you've stated the harm that it's done you, you've done everything that you can, made healing charts, emails, videos, writings, lawyers, you've done your part again and again and again. Then it's up to God to say, okay, God's now stepping in. And that's exactly what happened. It doesn't ever have to get that way. It doesn't ever have to get that way. Everyone that was involved with me, if they had returned the monies they had stolen, if they had returned and stopped doing the spell work 2 years ago when they were told, those tower moments from 2 years to now never had to occur. It was so unnecessary. And why I keep teaching this. When we understand our multidimensional bodies, when you understand the power that you have to create and manifest on your own, uniquely and creatively, there's no need for anything. It's just a matter of honoring and redesigning and reaffirming who you are. I am a divine being of holy light, and I'm going to nourish myself in my body. Towers don't have to happen. It's because we haven't heeded spirit. We haven't heeded the call. We haven't honored the rerouting when spirit said was enough. And nobody has the right to keep taking from you and enslaving you. And no child and no person has any right to be forced to be enslaved, so that those that are not healed and those that are not taking accountability, and they absolutely know common sense, what is a trespass on a human right and what is a trespass on a spiritual right. Everybody knows that. Treat thyself as you want to be treated, and treat others. There's a lot of wounding that needs to be healed. And so at the earliest of ages, honor and show and offer your children, when you're taking care of your body, they're going to see you taking care of your body. When they see you taking care and understanding yourself as light, they're going to want to understand about their light. And just know that when you offer it in inspiring, encouraging, and empowering ways, you're putting those energies and intentions into their field instead of worry, instead of, you know, hoping that bad things don't happen. You know, that's a much different vibration. Empowerment, encouragement, and inspiration, because you know that they're beings of great light. Don't worry, you're gonna work through it. I see you taking care of your body. I see you when somebody's trying to give you confusion and someone's trying to let you buy into their negative narrative. You're going to come out of it, because I know that you're going to trust who you are within. You're going to trust your inner body. You're going to trust your inner sensation, so that you will never ever be taken to anybody's lesser story for you to be used or abused. And have your children claim that and own that. Their body will tell them when something doesn't feel right. Your body will tell you when something doesn't feel right. Your body will tell you when it's really good to go, that person is really showing me how to live in great honor and how to live in great confidence, and I'm reclaiming my light and I'm reclaiming my body and I'm doing this and I'm practicing. You'll see a difference within 1 week, and your reality will start mirroring back to you in 1 week. We cannot go anywhere outside of our universe, outside of not even our universe. We can't go anywhere off our planet until we understand balance. Number 2 law. We cannot go off our planet until we understand the number one law. Universal laws supersede anybody that wants to do selfish greed work because they just choose not to heal. And it makes sense to go within and do that work. Do the inner work because it's you. You manifest your own abundance. You manifest a healthy body. You manifest balance. You manifest your own mastery. You say, wow, I did that. That was pretty impossible, but boy, I did that. Even if you have been included in these experiences and you choose to come forward in your truth because you don't want to continue living a lie, you don't want to continue being in someone's false narrative that's going to get all in trouble, if you will. You don't want to live in the narratives that's harming your body and harming your future timelines, that's harming your mental space. You want to be in that truth, then spirit will have that negotiation with your higher self, and the karma will start to be cleared because you chose to do the right thing, because you know that there was things being done that were absolutely against those laws. And part of you honoring that is part of you saying, no, I chose to do that, therefore I got to choose whatever the consequence is. That's how you start owning who you are and not waiting for anybody to come forward and fix your stuff for you. No, if you had the right to get into that mess, then you've got the right to get out of it. And you've shown spirit, I've done everything that I can do. I can't even, I've written it down. I got books and books and books. I've done all my work. I've put my pure intention in. I've done my pure alignment. I've done the divine order. Divine order is which the highest benevolence to all and none get harmed. That's divine order. That's what divine order means. When you pray in divine order, it's not greed. It's divine order, the highest outcome for all. And when you do that daily, when you do that hourly, that's when you're connected with everybody's greater good, not just yours. Because it matters. Spirit sees and feels everything. When you're acting from pure intention, not just to go and say sorry because now you know that you've screwed up, and so you want to, rush in and hurry in and say sorry. That sorry doesn't have anything to do with the harm and the imbalance and the damage and the loss that person incurred because of your harm. You're coming forward with that apology because it's making you feel better in the moment, or because you got caught, kind of thing. So again, you're going to clear karma when you're doing it with a pure intention, and you're doing it in the manner that is, wow, I'm so sorry that I put that harm on you. How can I make it right for you? And then allow that person to say, this is how I want you to make it right. So allow them to know they have that choice, and their choice might not be to ever speak with you again, and have that be okay, because you need to respect how that person wants to heal. You can't force yourself or them into your life. Honor and respect the healing process for everybody. Everybody has different boundaries, and everybody has different wants and needs for their own healing. And spirit will respect that as well, because it is free will. So for that pillar of light that runs along your spine, this is a daily maintenance every day. Take 5 full body breaths coming all the way up to the top of your field. Remember that field is 8 feet as above and below and around. 8-foot field is who you are. And when you're feeling, especially if you're working around a lot of people, it's good to do this 2 or 3 times a day so that you're aligning all that you are, and all of your chakras are aligned, because your chakras spiral around that pillar of light. 5 full body breaths means that you're 5 inhales, slow, counting 5 seconds on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the inhale, which is a full body breath. Fill your cavity with light. Calling in light. I call in light on my inhale, and I release. And as you release, visualize that light running down your bodies, down your chakras, and into Gaia. You feel that grounding cord from your root and your sacral chakra go into Gaia. You're connecting your multidimensional self with Gaia, with the grids. And as you breathe up, you're going to inhale Gaia elements and Gaia energy. And that's your connection with Gaia. The sacred trinity of our ascension is your connection with the higher self and the higher teams, your connection with Gaia, and your connection with your collective. When you have that sacred trinity, which is what we work on vocational alignment sessions, that's how you move forward, because that is the highest alignment of who you are. What is your offering to the collective, and what is your offering to Gaia? Because everybody will play a part. That's when your gifts and your skills and your codons and all of that you are as a multidimensional being get activated. And then you get to maintain and sustain, because everybody has a different light quotient. Everybody has a different operating system. Everybody's here for different gifts and skills and wisdoms and talents. Therefore, your body's going to need different things. Oh, that's so cool. Can you see them? 2 geesies. Hello, geesies. Hello. Do you see them? Too cute. Too cute. Getting lots of friends here today, brothers and sisters. And so 5 full body breaths. And hold your hands up, because your hands being held up is your receivership of light from the families and from your teams and from God and from source and from spirit and from the universe. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And create your own affirmations. I'm aligning with my inhale with all that light is that my body needs. I'm calling light to myself now with my inhale. As you exhale, remember, ground to Gaia. It's so important for crystalline children, for high vibrational kids, to ground to Gaia so that they feel grounded, so that they don't have to fear to be out of their body. Many kids get in a lot of accidents in their body because they're running in such a high vibration, and it's very fearful for them to be here just because of the vibrations of Earth and the aggressiveness of Earth. There's nobody that is teaching children to stay grounded and understand their multidimensional bodies, and a lot of them do get injured in playgrounds and things like that because they're not fully grounded, and they're not in their operating system because of the vibrational differences. And just so 5 full body breaths, and just having them visualize about Gaia, and then ground. Feel the grounding cord from the sacral go into Gaia, going into the grids. And then just do a sweeping motion up, sweeping motion up. And this sweeping motion is from your roots, root chakra, sacral chakra, just washing away and pulling up any densities. And you usually feel yourself burp. So just keep breathing, full body breath, full body breath. Visualize light bathing down your field, bathing down your field, bathing down your field, and ask your healing teams. You can change your healing teams. Ask your teams and your guides, which teams am I working with right now? And because of your DNA activations, because of where you're at in your ascension cycle, you're going to be working with different guides. I have those conversations with my team, so I'm giving you these informations and these sharings. Have a journal. What is my ascension cycle? Okay, teams, what healing teams am I working with this week? What can we work on this week, teams? Be the commander of your own multidimensional bodies. Be the commander of who you are as light. Be the commander when you have an energy walking in your field. How does that feel? When you have an energy or a communication or a contract or anything sitting in front of you, how does that feel? Feel into it. How do I feel? So that it doesn't matter what is in front of you. It doesn't matter what is going on around you. You absolutely know who you are as multidimensional light, and you carry that with confidence. And that's your intention. That's your affirmation. That's your direction of your energy, the focus of your energy. Focus throughout your day on light and different aspects of light in your different multidimensional bodies and fields. If you're going through a very tumultuous time emotionally, because of whatever's happening in your family or in your personal relationships, work on your emotional fields and bathe and work on that light. Bathe and call in white light to your emotional fields, and then start writing out, what am I feeling and why? What was the story connected with? What about me was in that story? Because that's when you start rebuilding that sense of self. Remember, whatever's going on, journal it out, write it out, suss it out. How did I feel about that? What about my self-design was in that story? What was I emanating? What was I radiating for that to be called in? How did I attract that? Own it. If you attracted to feel like a victim, own that, because that little child victim needed you. And now you get to have that voice. You get to be the mother and the father of you. That's why that divine masculine and feminine energies are needed. The will of the father and the creative intuitives and the healing and nurturing of the mother. And then you become that sacred child reborn. And so that realignment and just bathing yourself with light. And if you're still feeling tight, when you know you're aligned with your higher self and your soul self and everything is aligned, you can feel a very relaxed flow of energy. Just tune in, just check in, tuning into my bodies, tuning into my higher mind, and tuning into my soul and my spirit. And then just call everything in, harmonizing. I'm calling in any soul fragments. I'm calling in any soul aspects, any story fragments, any energy fragments that need to be called in, any thought forms, any light aspects that are me and mine only. My light comes back to me. My words come back to me. Everything comes back to me. So I'm calling it back. I'm a commander of me. I know who I am. So you're returning all of your light and all of your energy back to you. And then you're going to sever any ties and any cords of any energies and entities that do not belong in your field. Those that have attached themselves, those that have wanted to stay attached to you, those that are working to stay attached with you, all of those things that you can start detaching in every time that you work with your field. And you will feel lighter. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel lighter as soon as your session is done, because you're walking around without that clenching feeling. You're walking around without the worry and anxiety, because that's what they're carrying in their field. So when you have a deep soul tie, whether it's with children, whether it's with exes, whether it's with relationships, and they're not balanced and they're not doing the inner work, there is that soul tie, especially if you've had intimate relations or you've known them for a very long time, because they're also carrying that on other realms. It gets complicated, especially for those of us that understand energy and can feel it very deeply. When there's deep soul ties going on other realms, and there's soul contracts that you're meant to carry out. They have to be worked with in a very special and very unique way. Whether it's what doesn't matter what it's called, twin or a soul, it doesn't matter what it's called, shadow twin, all of those things. And sometimes they do get caught in negative ego because they're choosing not to do the healing, not to level up, and that's okay. That's their soul's experience, but you don't have to be compromised. You don't have to continually be okay with, emotional, mental, spiritual abuse. Because it is a cult crime, and you can call that what it is and state that what it is. And when you're communicating things blatantly, and when you're communicating things with truth and honesty and nothing is being done, then that's when you hand it over to spirit and source and have them work on the cutting of the cords and, rerouting people energetically. Because you have to continue momentum, because your momentum is also reliant on many other people and many other contracts. And so, again, the greater good will always prevail. One person will not rewrite in the entire collective's ascension because it's connected to the multiverse. And so it's, again, honoring and understanding the universal programs. And if you understand that, you can let go of all of the fear and all of the issues about getting caught up in the dramas that have been my hell the past 8 years. And again, it's not necessary. Just honoring who you are and start, doing your own self-love, because you should never have to want and force somebody to be in your life. Never force anybody to be with you. That is, really vibrational non-acceptance and a lot of wounding there. And it's okay, but you don't have to jeopardize yourself. Allow people to heal in their way and send them on their way. Right? It's not up to you to heal anybody, or to continually be the dumping ground and the vibrational harvesting field for a whole group of people that are just arrogant and selfish. But those experiences have to occur for the whole reality for those stories to come out. Those are very complex stories about dominance. Anybody that wants to dominate you and have you, those are really old timeline energies. And that's what we see in the political realm. We see those we see them everywhere. Misogyny, women not having the fair voice, women being treated as if our voices are absolutely nothing and null and void, when we're really powerful people. We carry great wisdoms. And yet there will be some that will do everything they can to not give us that credit because they're running in such old systems. Their beliefs will only allow them so much. And it's not very much because it's a very controlling, again, control is the lowest harmful vibration. It doesn't allow light to get to the cells. It creates a lot of bodily damage because the cells receive no light. And so it's a very harmful. That's why our planet had the process of ascension way back in 1987, because there was so much control on our planet. And it's lightened up so much so that now light's coming in, and light is coming in really, really fast. That's why our bodies are oscillating faster. The multidimensional systems, how we're communicating is going to be really fast. How do we communicate and process those light codes? And then how do we disseminate it and integrate it and have it moved out to the collective as quickly or efficiently? Not that you have to do it quickly, but so that you're understanding the flow, the give and the take of energy, because the universe in number one is the highest level of efficiency. And why that balance has to be maintained, because we are, as a collective, as a planet, we are moving faster in oscillation. So that means things are going to come down quicker as far as things that are not working, things that are super corrupt, things that are under the carpet, if you will. It's going to come up really quickly because there's so much light. And everybody in the collective will be needed to kind of rewrite those puzzles. And so within those bandwidths of those construct realities, everybody that's in that construct of reality, if one person is going through a huge consciousness upgrade, it affects everybody else because they play in and off one another, right? Their energies and their stories and their enhancements feed off of one another. right? So if one in the reality construct is really creating these beautiful beliefs that we are infinite, that we can do anything in our creative reality, it feeds, and those imprints go into the collective consciousness constructs, the field, if you will. And then that's in the field for others to connect with. That's why when we said, if I came out to universities and did discussions on certain topics or whatever, those codes are in the field of that reality construct. So those codes and those lights and those energies are in that field for all of the others that are involved and engaged, because it's in their field. They go home to their classmates, and even if they didn't go to the concert, it's in that field. That's how light and codes operate. And if we do light language, it's even more so. And then your teams and your energy fields and your guides will help move energy. You'll have a dream and you'll release that density, you'll release that wound, you release that, that really painful emotion. And then that light can come in, and your cells start operating faster because you're receiving more light. You're not holding that density, that wound. Your cells are now operating in the fluidity of light. When you're operating in the fluidity of light, you're receiving more source consciousness. You're acting and communing as source consciousness. Source consciousness is the information that's held in all life. If it's controlled and blocked and squished down, that light can't get in, because you're compressing it, you're depressing it. That's what a lot of cancers are, because you're compressing so much of that darkness and density or wound or experience into those cells, because your body's not letting it flow and operate in a higher fluency of just source clearing it for you. And understanding why that wound was there. What did you believe about yourself? What did you believe about your body, the health of your body, the communion with your body, the constructs of your body? Again, the reality constructs, consciousness constructs, reality consciousness constructs are no different than it is with your body. Your body is a reality construct. So the beliefs you hold with your body, the light that you integrate with your body, it all is as the same as your reality. So the inner outer as above, so below. So we hope that that's helped your lighted ones. We're just going to do a light language because the geeseys are here. So just take a deep breath. Just call in the beautiful beings of holy light. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We're calling in the beings of the holy light, and any light teams, any celestial teams that would like to be with us. Oh yeah, we wanted to offer practice playing with your celestial teams. I always, when I'm working with my celestial teams, I'll ask my teams, can I call in a different being so I can get used to their energy, the being of the highest benevolence that's ready to work with me right now, so that you can get used to working with different energies. You can get used to working with how different energies feel. So practice and play. Is there any beings that would like to come forward right now, Spirit, as we're talking about our celestial families and our alien families? Thank you. Hello, geesies. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Yes, there's the collective, and they're just coming as a celestial collective. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Yes. Many of you are being prepared for the collective celestial groundings and the groundwork that you are all doing to prepare those around you and your earth and your planet for the communion of your higher aspects and the whole higher soul aspects of who you are within other realms and planets. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that clearing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So they're showing me the other night I had a celestial come in and sit with me. I felt them right away. And I was asking them about them and who they were, and they were from a parallel reality from Atlantis. And so they called it Atlantia. And so that was really great. And it was a beautiful celestial being. And they were in a different timeline thread, but now that I had released and the veils were thinning so much so that the being could be with me. And so I was feeling the being. Part of my communicatory skills are to feel, I can feel energies in my field and what they're like. If they're coded with me for my first contact, you can ask this too. And again, work with your teams. I'm telling you this is because these are my experiences. These are how conduits and empaths we can feel: celestial kids, hybrid kids, crystalline children. Because we read crystalline energy, we can see imprints. Imprint is, it's not a vision in your third eye. It's just how you feel in the consciousness of what crystal is. You can see, it's just like seeing a picture, but you're not seeing it with your eyes or your third eye. That's just how I've experienced it. And so this being was standing next to me, and I was feeling their skin, what their skin was like. I was looking at their skin with my energy field because my eyes were closed. And I was seeing their fingers and their long fingers. They only had 3 fingers because we were talking about the fingers. What do they look like? And they were showing me the imprint of what their fingers were looking like. And then what else did we talk about? Oh yeah, we were talking about names, and I was asking why they had that name. So we just thought, just getting to know, like, if you had a new friend just sit at the table with you with a coffee, what would you ask? What do you look like? How many fingers do you have? So instead of what's your favorite color, how many fingers do you have? How tall are you? Where'd you come from? What timeline? Just different ways to talk and different ways to communicate with your celestial families. It's really, really fun. That geese is really looking at me. Come here. Come here, geesey. I don't have any food, honey. It's like just staring at me. Stalking. I got a stalking geese, man. um, cutie. And so what were we talking about? Celestials. Thank you, Lord Sananda. Thank you, Holy Creator. Thank you, Holy Creator. Yes, we want you to be so playful and honoring and be really excited to play with your multidimensional celestial friends and family. We are getting prepared to communicate and to be in part with all of your new Earth co-creation. So now they're showing me a meeting where we're meeting with government officials, and we're preparing, some of us are preparing in different ways of communication on how to roll out higher vibrational communication so that it's honorable and it's integrous. It's not like we don't understand first contacts happening already. But we're kind of playing catch up, if you will. The governments are playing catch up. They want to do it in a way that's transparent and honoring and respectful, not treating us like we're children that we don't know what's going on with our own planet. So it needs to be done in a way that's very integrous, and it's very transparent, and it's very mature. We want to release ourselves from this spiritual immaturity, where we're leveling up to higher vibrational, co-creative, constructive experiences. So they were just showing me an experience where we were sitting at the table with different levels of society, if you will. And I say levels is only how it's constructed. If it's an education construct, that will have a different appliance, if you will, how the light is applied, how the information is applied, how the messages are applied. And that's what conduits we get to understand and discern that. That's why we're prepared from many different timelines and realms and we're prepared for these things. And again, I go back to why you can just release all of the fear about copying and being copied and all of those kind of things, because you can't. Your codes of you, your DNA, your fingerprint is you. Again, understanding multidimensionality, just taking yourself to a higher level and releasing all of those complex constructs about control and taking and bidding and all of those things. You cannot swap the uniqueness of somebody. You can't. And that's what if you're in a state of no self-design, if you're in a state of no self-honor and self-constructs of who you are, your sense of self, and 90% of your time is focused on a relationship or someone outer you, you're missing so much of the design of you. Relationships are how we heal, yes, but it shouldn't be 90% of your focus. You should be your focus. And as you as your focus, whatever is before you is meant to be before you. So again, reclaim that power, reclaim that outer focus, reclaim all of those energies you put on everything else and everyone else. Reclaim it back to you, and you'll start to see changes and shifts very, very quickly, because your energy is really powerful to work with. So work with it with pure intention and focus and direction of your own energy. You don't need anybody else's. And when you're in that right place of alignment of you, you're going to manifest that equal partner that is also ready to be with you in that equal manner. Why would you want somebody that's not equal with you vibrationally, that's not equal with you as a creative creator, that's not equal with you as an emotional being that's grounded for you and that will be there for you? You want that person to level up. Otherwise, you're just going to keep continuing karmic cycles. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it shouldn't be 90% of your focus. So our collective will start shifting and changing in the whole tarot spiritual community, because we're understanding that now everything in life that we manifest is from who we are as multidimensional beings. Who are we? What do we exist within, and what exists within each and every one of us? And tarot will change very quickly to see that, to see those unfoldings. Because if you're not working on you, your energy is going to a whole lot of places that's just going to mean chaotic mess, and your energy's everywhere. Shouldn't be on anybody outside of you. It should be working with you, and you always, all day long, working with you and Gaia, you and spirit, you and your soul. And then when you do have those interactions, you absolutely know who you are and you're giving your best, however you choose. Not everybody's going to need your full energy. Not everybody's going to want it. Not everybody can handle it. But as you're getting used to you, you don't want to just you know, constantly, again, mastery is about what to give, how to give, and who to give it to, how much to give, how just to sit and observe, how to sit and relax. Again, what is my part in this transaction? That's mastery, and you've got to learn that. So I'm just giving you a basic, you know, oh, the little geesey is sleeping. Little geesey. Geesey sleepy. Geesey. Oh. Oh, maybe she's having an egg. No, she's having them. They're gorgeous. They're huge. Hello, geesies. Cuties. So yeah, the reality constructs is going to be the consciousness within each construct. That's why it's important for us to keep the momentum of growth, keep the momentum of expansion, keep the momentum of us growing inner and outer, so that we can keep expanding and contracting our reality. And that should be the same in your home. If you're going through, and if you're caring about the energy within your home, bring in weekly clearing. You know, I do home clearing and sacred, you know, space setting up. If you want to set up a sacred space in your yard or a sacred temple or an altar space, I do that as well. Consultations. I'm a creative consultant. I do anywhere from business and vocation, style, fashion, sacred spaces in your home, how to clear and cleanse your home, how to operate more fluidly as a family, if you will. And if your family's on board to start taking action, positive, loving action on any family issue, if you like. So any creative consulting session, an appointment that you would like, my email is below. 200 US for 90 minutes and 500 for 4 sessions. 500 for 4. I always get that mixed up. Not 5, it's 4 sessions. I got to start having that equal exchange on my energy, because my energy is very, very special. And I've noticed just this last week, I've had a huge clearing of many energies that were really cleared out of my field. You know, a lot of that stuff, a lot of that mess that was in my field is cleared out, and I just feel so much. I'm so much more bright and alive and full, and my soul is working at a higher capacity. So I'm really, really blessed, and I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. When you're working with your teams, and again, your celestial preparing for your celestial families, work with your teams, you know, work daily, set some time aside daily. You know, who can I work with today? I want to bring in a new energy, you know, work with the masters, work with Jesus, work with any of the collectives that you want to work with. They'll have a different vibration if you, once you start getting used to it, because every collective and every being has a different vibration. And Jesus has a different vibration. Mother Mary has a different vibration. So get used to working with it. Work with your teams, work with your fields, work with how you're feeling and intuiting. Your communicatory skills are going to change. How you discern different energies is going to change as well. And I talked to that with a few of my private clients lately. Those of us that are advanced in the healing industry, in the healing field, if you want to email me for a short session, I can always work out a price for you to take on shorter information, you know, say a half an hour session. I can do that, because some of the communicatory skills, how we're changing and how we're feeling and sensing, is going to change drastically. And it's hard to explain in really short, you know, short form here. But so if you're interested in that, just email me. What else did they say, Spirit? Oh, so yes, they're saying collective connections. Collective connections on, oh yes, collective connections on the socioeconomic systems, how we operate with one another, our groups, connecting. I'm so excited, so excited. For first contact and our spirit. So anyways, so the other night when I was sitting down and I was just feeling, I was saying, okay, so who wants to work with me? Who's here now? Everyone's so excited. Oh my gosh. And all of my teams, they just love how much I get. And then so, oh, and then there was this other time where I was in my car and I was down at the beach, because I love the beach, any beaches. I'm on an island here, so there's beaches everywhere. And there's one beach that I was at nighttime, and they had the fireworks at night on the way on the other side of the beach. And I was just looking up and I was saying, okay, light ships, which light ship wants to work with me? And then of course this light ship went across the sky. I got a little video of it. And then so I work with light ships sometime, and I said, okay, which light ship is Pleiadian? Where's my Pleiadian families? Although most of the time, you know, some of the light ships that I work on, because I work with different species, because I connect with the Gaia energy, the biosphere, and a lot of hybrid energies. And again, I'm only telling you these are my experiences. Your experience is going to be totally different, because your consciousness is different. The beings you're working with are different. Your first contact teams are going to be different. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Holy Spirit. My consciousness teams, because I work with multi-dimensional species, and the species I work with are they're different species. Let's just put it that way, because I can't explain it to you in a short little snippet. These species are different species from different realms all throughout the galaxy. And so now they're saying multiverse. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Some of those do come in vibration and in threads and in sheaths of energy connected with other energies, because they're learning about our interpretation of communication as well. So they're very excited about it as equally as we are. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So they're just showing there's a lot of communication going on right now. So I'm just pulling out what needs to be downloaded. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Because we're connecting as a collective. Okay, so I see. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We're connecting the higher selves of who we are. Those of you that are ready to begin group and collective communicatory systems with first contact and working with your systems of human. Again, those of you that are clients and participants in our classes, you know, because we've been talking about this, how your missions and your destinies and your vocations are going to be changing by communicating and having those interpretatory skills with your social systems. And if you want to know what that means, or if you're interested, just let me know and send me an email. What else, Spirit? Again, how it's downloaded is so different than how I'm saying it word for word, lettered A to Z and beginning to end. It's multidimensional. So there's packets dropped down to me, and I'm trying to speak as fast as possible because it's not just one thing. It's a whole load that just got downloaded to me. So that means it's in the field for you as well. Those that are working at a collective vocational experience, the codes are there. My mouth can only go so fast. And this is why speaking is not a very efficient manner of communicating. We're becoming more and more telepathic. And again, with telepathic, we're going back to that whole thing. Using your skills and your experiences, anybody that's continually trying to telepathically communicate with you, surrender it to your higher self when you've said no. Your higher self and your teams will assure that the proper boundaries and borders are put on so that you don't have those that can do telepathic communication and ESP and all of those things. And they're doing it without your permission. They're doing it without your respect. And when you've said no, no means no. They have to go away and do that healing. They have to go away and be okay with your no. The respect of your fields, the respect of your time, the respect of your energy must be adhered, and have their higher self, help them heal and help them communicate. It's not up to you. Nobody has the right to keep pressing on you vibrationally. Nobody has the right to keep vibrationally poking you and pulling at you and yanking on you just because they want your time and attention, because they don't want to do it the normal way of sending an email, if you will. And so that's just, again, honoring and understanding fields and energies and light. And I've said to my teams now, my teams are not letting anything in just because of the abuse has been so long and it's been so abhorrent. So now my teams, there's a system of beings that are ensuring the light that comes and the beings that come in and out of my field that want to come in and out of my field. It's a no tolerance. So thank you, teams, and all the beings that are assisting me in healing my body so that I can move in momentum of the highest and the greater good for the divine Mother Father's will. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Again, it's always the greater good because not any one person or group ever has pull over the divine plan. The Mother and the Father's will is above all. Everybody's got to do their part. So what was it, Spirit? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the collective consciousness. Yeah, the collective groupings. So those of you that are going to be working in the collective social experience, you're going to be downloaded energies and informations that's going to help inspire you to work with those beings that are also working with the collective. There are beings, there is consciousness, like Galactic Federation, systems of light. The systems of light is for all systems of light for the multiverse. Those are the systems I work with, the systems of light. That means from the divine Father's will, if you will, because the will is of the Father, the divine plan of the elegance of the will, and the Mother looks after the birthing of that. So it's an equal experience. It has to be that thing, that balance, that harmony. That's why our number 2 law is balance. So the will of the Father is the plan, is the intelligence of that experience. The Divine Mother is the intuitive intelligence. How do we feel our way through this? And the Mother's energy is then nourished into the seeds of the birthing, is birthing that through the allowance, birthing that through the nurturance, birthing that through the intelligence of the intuitive bodies, the multidimensionality of who we are, the ensuring of the crystalline, if you will, and the ignition and that spark is the Father energy, and that's how we manifest in the 5th dimension. It's not 3D manifesting, it's 5D manifesting, and it's about that sacred joy. That joy factor has to be there because that's the sacred child, that's the return of the Christ within us each. Nothing to do with religion. And so we want to go back to that one. Do we want to say there? Oh, so is that for me personally, or is that for the collective? So this is just, they're just saying adherence to your own schedules of communication and contact with your teams and what you're threaded with and what you're here to co-create. The teams, the mother and the father, have you in your divine plan. So surrender to mother, father of your divine plan and how it unfolds, and your adherence to your own schedule, no others, is important. Again, you're going to be given everything that you want to explore, especially for someone like me who's had so many lifetimes and so many eons of practice and so many eons of just being at this point now. There's so much that I want to do and I want to get connected with. But Spirit is just saying you're going to have the adherence of your unique schedule, and it's not like anybody else's, because your unique soul plan is unique to you. Your imprint for you, the mother father's will for you, the source's will for you, and how that operates. You still have free will, whether you're excited about that. You can at any point in time go through an ascension experience. And of course, mother, father always know what's best for you, because they know in every other timeline what you've gone through, what you've manifested, what you've experienced, your traumas, your delays, your sacrifices, your compromises. All of those things are changing right now. This is why this important lifetime is so valuable, because we're releasing so many eons of density. And this timeline is where mother, father come with all of these blessings and all of these beautiful gifts. But you can wake up and say, wow, mother, father, I want to do this. I'm so excited about this. And you have this epiphany. Mother, father always know before you know it, but that might take a little rerouting, right? Mother and father might say, okay, let's just put that on hold for a little bit. We're going to go over here and do this. What that also too, I'm going to get off because there's been so much. But one really important thing is also really cool. We're going to have a whole other video about this because there's so much misunderstandings about timeline jumping. But when we just talked about what we just did, because you're so much and you want to maybe take a piece of information here, a piece of information there, you can, as the soul that you are right now, at a consciousness level where you're ready to be a teacher or a leader for fifth dimensional consciousness. You're ready to get in the communities and help rewriting those systems, helping authorities and helping systems become more adept at first contact, to become more adept at multidimensionality. Those are the roles that are helping transform our systems. And there will be those that will just be creating new systems. They don't have to have any entanglement with the old systems. But there'll be those of us that, those systems that want to help being rewritten, there'll be those of us that will be helping doing that. And then there'll be just those that are creating new systems. So again, there's a multidimensional plan, and the elegance is all with mother, father. And you'll be guided in your own. That's why, again, work with your teams, work with your guides. Be more engaging, be more in communion. What are we working on today, team? What are I've had this ailment. Let's work on that ailment. And they'll always tell you, it's not ego. They'll always tell you, well, this needs to be worked on right now. This is highest and best for you. So surrender that to your higher self. Allow yourself and your ego to be humbled, because your higher self knows exactly. And that's what means being led by your higher self, because it's a higher vibrational intelligence. It's driving you where you need to go. What are we just going to say about that? Oh yeah, the timelines. So you might have something where you need to go and really absorb a beautiful lesson for your soul's encompassment. So you might be taken somewhere in a reroute for a month or two. It might seem like a month or two, but it's actually probably 5 years. So again, we're dropping time. How you navigate and negotiate threads of experience is no longer going to be time. There's timelines, if you will, that are unfolding. Timeline, it's actually worded incorrectly. A timeline means the energy of momentum, intention, direction, and focus that collective construct has intended. Highly creative, intentional timeline. I'm so excited because we are creational beings. That's why we've been talking about creative genius. It's everything. It heals our body. It manifests. It is all that we are. We are creative vessels of source. Everything from here on out will be creative. Oh yes, but the moving back and forth of time, because you need to pick up a lesson, because you need to take, you're going to get that from there. So there's going to be those of us that can maneuver dimensional bandwidths. But as we said in our last video, it will take the grounding, as we said in our video, ground. And we talked about it in the multifaceted soul video. Practice grounding. Somebody that is not working on their ascension path, and again, there's no judgment. I'm giving you the ABCs. What I speak of is there's no value judgment in any of it. These are the ABCs of understanding energy. Someone that is not working on ascension, somebody that is not care or want to go into any of their own 51% and thinks that they can, because there is energy imprints in the field and in the collective. Well, I can just jump to a timeline here, there. No, you can't. Spirit and your guides will not allow it. They will ensure that you're rooted and grounded, because there is that important soul lesson that has to be learned. You cannot jump over your karma. You cannot jump over your 51% just to go to a timeline, because your body in that, what you say is a new timeline, is going to be without all of that juice that you needed to be in that timeline. You cannot be on a higher vibrating timeline without knowing the juice of why you got there. You will be disassociated. Your multidimensional bodies will be disassociated because you have no idea what multidimensionality is. So therefore, how could you understand a higher vibration timeline? Again, ascension is a very sacred process. So treat it as such, because you are. Those that are simply egoic based and future and getting, that's all ego. And again, ground yourself. Go within that. What's in that for you? Well, I'm not happy here. Why are you not happy here? Well, because I think I'm missing or lacking. Well, okay, go within that. Why are you lacking? Because you're not. Be happy now. Be grounded now. What's in your body now? Be in your body now. That's how you get there. The more grounded you are, the higher vibrational access you'll have. Again, it's all about balance and understanding energy, understanding alchemy, who you are as multidimensional beings. Yay! Okay, so let's do light language. Hello, geesies. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Kaya, fairies in the elements, fairies, elementals, fairies, elementals. Isiana karati, ana karakira, ana. Isiana karakira. Isiana makaratake, Shayana makaratake, Siana makaratake, Siana makaratake, Ayana makaratake, Shishama makaratake, Ayana makaratake, Siana makaratake, Namakataka. In a makaratake, Shishiana makaratake, Namakatake, Siana makaratake, Ayana makaratake, Shiana makaratake, Ayana makaratake. Ayana makaratata, Ayana makaratata. Ayana makaratake, Shiana makaratake, Namaka. Ayana makaratake, Siana. Ground. Ground. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Send light to your field, send light to your future, send light to your now. Send light to the children. Send rainbow light. Rainbow light to your path, rainbow light to your home. Send rainbow light to your body. Visualize your body, send rainbow light. Have your healing teams releasing any entities that you've learned the lessons from, because any entity that you agree to have attached to you, any demon that you have attached to you, they're there for a reason. You've given them permission. And so just ask them, what was my lesson with you? Thank you so much for the soul lesson, and off you go. Nothing to be afraid of. Once you understand the death realm and everything that encompasses death and why people want death and why people empower death on you, then it's just it's not a big deal. They're there for a lesson. So honor it. Thank you. Thank you, demon. Bye. Send them on their way. They don't have power over you. Your consciousness and your choice is the #1 law. They're not going to stay with you if you choose no. If you've learned the lesson, your will of who you are, bye. Not needed. Thank you. And they go. And you have teams and you have guides. You're working and loving and being respectful with your guides. If you're heeding the call of spirit, your guides are there for your protection, and your guides will send them on their way. If you've disregarded your guides, if you've disrespected your guides, if you've done things over and over and over when your guides have said no, your guides are not there going to protect you, because you've disregarded them in every time that they've tried to protect you. So again, you have to take that up with God. You have to go to God and say, okay, God, how can I make this right? So I regain and I realign myself to my highest and my best. How can I get my protection back? Because I'm finding it really hard to navigate here. You're always offered opportunities to heal and to repent and reclaim yourself. But again, God wants you to match that. Do you love yourself enough, or are you just doing it because you just want to get out of trouble because you've been caught? Again, the purity of intention has to be there. No, I'm so sad that I upset somebody. I'm so sad that I harmed somebody. I'm so sad that I would have done that to my guides. I want to have respect for my guides. That's why I always call my guides in with equal respect. Because they're there, they protect you. They protect you when you don't even know what's going on. They made you turn left when you were supposed to turn right, and they, helped you get out of an car accident. So have the equal respect for all creation, the children before you, the trees. When you see children bashing and crashing on nature, be the one that allows them to stop and be present with nature. Have them connect with that nature. Have them look at the pretty flowers and have them wonder about it. What do you think's in there? If they had a voice, what would that say? Get that reconnection with all life, because that life will speak to you and that life will have your back when you need it. There's so much that I'm guided and I'm protected by just because I work with the earth. And the earth protects me. Gaia protects me. Gaia energy protects me. She's been a huge, huge part of my healing. So I respect her and I cry and I help bathe her with as much light and with as much love. And I work in so many ways with Gaia and the higher beings and the higher realms and the Arcturians. Thank you, Arcturians. I had such a beautiful experience with the Arcturians yesterday. I'm so very grateful for everybody's love and light. And I offer these teachings benevolence and freely. So anybody that would like a donation, I would love them. So would love your and appreciate your donations for all the free wisdoms that I give from the unconditional heart that I have for all of humanity. I'm so grateful to be on this beautiful journey with you. And I thank you, dear lighted ones. And we send you love and rainbow kisses. Was there any information about those light codes in the fields? Playing with Gaia. That's what was in that light code. It's just a lot of reconnection with Gaia, clearing things in your field. And Gaia can help you do that. So again, commune with your teams, ask your teams, engage with your teams. That was your highest and your best gift because you want to learn how to recommune with you again. Give yourself that importance, give yourself that value, give yourself that redesign. And then explaining with the questions and the observation and the reflections, then you're really engaged with life. And you stop focusing everything on outer, what you used to focus on because it was so superficial. Now you're focusing on the brilliance of you, the genius of you, the art of you, and you start renegotiating yourself as art because you are a creative piece of art. So thank you, dear lighted ones. We love you. Rainbow hugs and kisses. Bye.